But she is a malignant narcissist who cannot get enough of herself while she simultaneously plays the victim. Terry just can't give her anything else anymore. He served his purpose. His purpose is over. He was born into a fairy tale. The golden-haired prince who stole the world's heart. But today, that same prince looks like a man slowly fading behind someone else's shadow. Because something changed, something deep, unseen, and unsettling. She will take her royal kids, who can still go by prince and princess, and find the billionaire. The smile that once lit up every room now feels forced, the spark in his eyes gone, and the man who once laughed at royal rules now seems afraid to speak without permission. And I think he slipped from what was the natural person who everyone in Britain loved and saw the smiley. What happened to Prince Harry? How did the world's most rebellious royal, the soldier, the humanitarian, the free spirit become the quiet, cautious man we see today? Some call it love, others call it transformation, but psychologists, they're calling it something far darker. The woman who destroyed her in-laws' family, whose own family doesn't like, or whose the in-laws obviously don't like, or the public doesn't like her. The chilling signs of narcissistic abuse. And once you start connecting the dots, the isolation, the personality shift, the emotional exhaustion, the truth behind Harry's story becomes almost impossible to ignore. Because this isn't just a royal love story gone wrong. It's a step-by-step blueprint of how even the strongest, most adored person can be slowly broken down until they forget who they were. It was planned from the beginning. She denied being interested in the royal family, which she totally was. I know someone who knows the ex-husband who said she had a vision board with Prince Harry on it. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll see the 10 shocking signs that show Prince Harry might not be living the dream, but surviving the most subtle and dangerous form of emotional control. And trust me, once you see it, you'll never look at those royal smiles the same way again. It always starts quietly, not with arguments or dramatic scenes, but with slow, careful separation. At first, it looks like boundaries, then it becomes distance and finally isolation. For Prince Harry, that distance began the moment his world started revolving around one person. Friends who once filled his life with laughter suddenly stopped appearing at events. And expanded family, country, and all his friends to be with this woman. He'll want to go home, all right, a bold prediction for the year ahead. Old army mates, wedding guests, even loyal royal staff. All gone one by one, replaced by new faces, loyal only to the new dynamic. All my life, you know, and Oprah Winfrey had met them once. She was a guest. The Clooneys, the guests, I mean, never met them before, but they were the guests. And you know, I thought to myself, this all show rubbish. To outsiders, it seemed like independence, a man breaking free from the palace to live life on his own terms. But true freedom doesn't usually mean cutting everyone else off. Behind the surface of privacy and new beginnings, there were whispers of control, subtle, quiet, invisible. I truly believe that when he met Meghan, she whispered into his ear. A 36-year-old mature woman whispered into his ear, "Harry, you and I could change the world." Experts on narcissistic relationships say this is how dependency begins. You're told others don't understand you, that family doesn't support you, that only one person truly does. Soon, the victim believes it. Harry, once surrounded by brothers in arms and bound by royal duty, became an island. Harry came from this very busy world of the royal family with lots to do. Even in his spare time, he could play polo and do whatever he wanted. Even his bond with William, once unbreakable, began to fracture. The world saw the interviews, the confessions, the distance, but few saw the psychological pattern playing out. The shrinking of a social circle until only one voice matters. It's not anger, it's strategy, a controlled environment disguised as love. When William married Kate, I think the relationship inevitably changed slightly, as sibling relationships always do when a third person comes into it. By the time the move to California happened, the transformation was complete. No palace, no brother, no father, just the illusion of choice. And the saddest part, many victims of narcissistic abuse don't even realize they've been isolated until it's too late. Because isolation doesn't feel like a prison at first. It feels like safety until you notice the walls. He sat in Montego twiddling his thumbs, thinking, what do I do next? What is my role? Where is my work? The change in Prince Harry didn't happen overnight. It crept in like a shadow. Once the lively, mischievous prince who couldn't hide his grin even in the stiffest royal ceremonies, Harry now looks like a man carefully measuring every word, every glance, every breath. The spark that wants to find that rebellious humor, that raw authenticity, seems to have dimmed under the constant need for approval. The way that I saw it was, there is a way of doing things, but for us, for this union, and the specifics around her race, and the one person he appears desperate to please is Meghan. Observers noticed it early on. The confidence that once came naturally to him began to fade after their marriage. For the last 6 or 7 years, Harry has been the third person alongside Kate and William. In public appearances, Meghan often takes the lead, speaking first, steering conversations, even interrupting when Harry tries to share his thoughts. It's subtle but powerful. Psychologists call this dominance by interruption, a way to establish silent authority in relationships. Meghan makes him feel like that sad little spare over and over. As a spare, Harry was used to shaking hands after William. Now he was shaking hands after Meghan. This kind of chaos and confusion just does not happen with William and Kate. William shakes hands first, and then Kate greets them. Over time, Harry's body language shifted, shoulders drawn in, gaze lowered, eyes flicking toward Meghan before responding. The man who once commanded global stages now seems to seek silent permission before speaking. Many say love changes people, and that's true. But this doesn't look like growth. It looks like submission. Meghan's influence appears to have reshaped his personality entirely, molding him into a version that fits her world, not his. Fascination with royalty. Does it live up to the fairy tale? No, not at all. As any girl will ever tell you, it's that sort of, oh my God, he's a prince. But no. Friends close to the couple describe him as guarded, nervous, even exhausted. That light-hearted charm that once made him the world's favorite royal has been replaced by tension, caution, and emotional restraint. When someone's confidence is slowly replaced by compliance, it's rarely accidental. It's control masked as protection. No better way to dismantle a personality than to isolate it. It's not just you that is affected. It's obviously anyone you're with, particularly a girlfriend, your girlfriend. How do they react? Do you feel protective towards them? Hugely protective. And I would be very concerned if I wasn't protected. And while Meghan presents herself as his savior from a cruel institution, it's clear she's also rewritten the script of who Harry is allowed to be. The free-spirited prince is gone, and in his place stands a man edited by someone else's will. Once Harry's voice was his own, raw, emotional, unfiltered. But after Meghan entered his life, that voice began to sound strangely rehearsed, almost scripted. The man who once joked freely about royal life now speaks like a spokesperson defending a brand. It's no coincidence I've done there, and now it's time to, as you said, work as a team with you. Music, Meghan, with her background in media and calculated public image, has mastered the art of narrative control. And under her influence, Harry's truth has been written line by line, memory by memory, until even he might not know where reality ends and her version begins. Look at Spare, his memoir. Every page drips with bitterness toward his family, resentment that feels amplified, almost curated. Meghan's fingerprints are all over it, from the emotional tone to the rebranding of their escape as liberation. And I don't think he heard Meghan's voice. I think he heard his mother's voice. Friends of the royal family whisper that Meghan encouraged Harry to share intimate details, not for healing but for strategy. To her, every confession was currency. Every private pain became a public weapon. What once was sacred became content. When Harry sits beside Meghan in interviews, his words often echo hers. Same phrasing, same emotional framing. It's as if her narrative has merged with his identity. That's a hallmark of manipulation. You don't just control someone's actions. You reshape their memories until they align with your truth. Harry, being a simple soul, has easily changed to suit Meghan's agenda. Meghan has managed to turn a prince's life into a storyline where she's the misunderstood heroine, and he's the broken savior who follows her lead. The result, a global audience now views the royal family through Meghan's filter. Harry's credibility has been sacrificed for her version of events. What was once a family dispute has been reframed as oppression, and the most dangerous part, he believes it. That's the power of a narcissist narrative. They don't just rewrite your story, they make you forget it was ever yours to tell. Control doesn't always come as a demand. Sometimes it wears the mask of love. I remember thinking, how can I ever find someone who is willing and capable to be able to withstand all the baggage that comes with being with me? Meghan's influence over Harry has evolved beyond persuasion. It's precision. Every major decision they've made, leaving the monarchy, cutting off family ties, signing multi-million-dollar deals, carries her signature style. Impulsive, dramatic, and perfectly timed for maximum attention. Those choices didn't reflect Harry's old instincts. They reflected Meghan's ambition. We know now in hindsight that Meghan never really intended to stay. Behind the cameras, insiders describe her as calculating, strategic, and in charge. She decides where they appear, what they say, and who's allowed into their orbit. When Harry does speak out of turn, Meghan's subtle corrections, the quick glance, the gentle interruption re-establish control. That dynamic isn't partnership. It's dominance disguised as concern. And I traveled the world with him, and I did really enjoy working with him. But you know, now I really don't care if I ever see him again, because the way he's behaved towards the king and our queen and his brother, and his sister-in-law is appalling. Slowly, Harry has become a supporting character in his own life, orbiting around her spotlight. Even their freedom feels choreographed. The move to America, marketed as an escape from pressure, instead placed them under Meghan's total control. Far from family, advisors, and royal protocol, Harry's only anchor is her approval. Every decision now filters through her lens of image and influence. The world sees a power couple, but the balance is illusion. Meghan leads, Harry follows, and that's the quiet tragedy. She would just engulf you and squeeze you as tight as possible. And being as short as I was then, there was no escape. You were there, and you were there for as long as she wanted it to hold you. There was no escape. You were there, and you were there for as long as she wanted it to hold you. I miss that. I miss that feeling. What began as love and liberation has turned into dependency and submission. Meghan didn't just free Harry from the palace. She built a new cage wrapped in affection, locked with control and sealed with a smile. You can see it in his eyes. The exhaustion that no amount of rest can cure. The once confident, grounded Prince Harry now carries the heaviness of someone emotionally drained, constantly performing for peace. Behind every forced grin lies a quiet tension, the kind that comes from years of walking on eggshells. And at the center of it all stands Meghan, charming in public, demanding in private, shaping every moment of his emotional energy around her needs. What does he do in America? What does he do all day there? I mean, we saw a bit of show where he feeds his chickens. But what else? I mean, you know, it's Meghan. It's all Meghan on television. Meghan cooking and Meghan making jams. I mean, it's Harry seems to be doing nothing over there. Friends have whispered that Harry seems drained, confused, and mentally fragile. His spark has dimmed, replaced by weariness. Meghan's relentless pursuit of media control, interviews, and public vindication has kept him in a constant state of emotional alertness. Every new controversy becomes his responsibility to defend. Every criticism of her feels like an attack on him. It's the perfect manipulation cycle. Exhaust the victim until resistance feels impossible. The constant pressure to protect Meghan, even from fair criticism, has turned Harry into a shield instead of a husband. Meghan Markle knew that, and she manipulated him because of that. Then when she got everything that she wanted, right, his emotional resources are spent defending her, explaining her, repairing her image while his own mental health crumbles. Therapy, emotional breakdowns, even visible anxiety have followed him everywhere. But instead of helping him heal, Meghan seems to weaponize his vulnerability, using his openness as emotional leverage. Harry's exhaustion isn't just physical, it's spiritual. She's drained the prince who once fought for causes bigger than himself and left behind a man too tired to fight for his own peace. Prince Harry has laid bare once again his trauma conforming as a royal. The Duke of Sussex's latest candid confessions were beamed live over the internet as he sat down with a therapist who offered his own diagnosis. The most devastating sign of narcissistic control isn't anger or manipulation, it's disappearance. Piece by piece, the person you once were is replaced by someone else's design. That's exactly what's happened to Prince Harry under Meghan's influence. The fun, loving, rebellious prince who once lived by his own rules now seems molded into a cautious, compliant version of the man she wants him to be. His identity, the soldier, the brother, the son, the free spirit, has been rewritten to fit her narrative of the modern royal rebel. Watch any of their interviews. Meghan speaks with confidence and control, while Harry echoes her words, often repeating her talking points like a script he's memorized. It's as if he no longer trusts his own voice unless it aligns with hers. That's not partnership, it's psychological editing. The causes that have been very important to me, I can focus even more energy on because very early out of the gate, I think you realize once you have access or a voice that people are willing to listen to. With that comes a lot of responsibility, which I take seriously. Meghan has turned Harry from an individual into an accessory to her brand. Even his appearance has changed, softer, more polished. Stripped of the rugged authenticity that once defined him, friends close to the couple describe how he defers to her in every conversation, seeking approval before speaking. Over time, that constant self-censorship erases individuality. Meghan's dominance doesn't just shape how Harry behaves, it shapes who he is allowed to be. She's rewritten his story so thoroughly that even he seems unsure where Prince Harry ends and Meghan Markle begins. And that's the cruelest form of control, not just to silence a man, but to make him forget his own voice ever mattered. Somewhere inside the quiet, polished version of Prince Harry, the old spark still flickers, small, desperate, and fading fast. There are moments when his guard slips, a nervous laugh, a look of regret, a brief flash of the man who once defied royal convention with charm and courage. But each time that side surfaces, Meghan seems to pull him back into line. I just didn't want to be alive anymore. I then had a son who I'd far rather be solely focused on, rather than every time I look in his eyes, wondering whether my wife is going to end up like my mother, and I'm going to have to look after him myself. That was one of the biggest reasons to leave. She doesn't need to shout or argue. Her power lies in quiet correction. A single look from her can silence him instantly. That isn't love, it's conditioning. Insiders claim that behind closed doors, Harry struggles between loyalty and identity. He knows the man he's become isn't the one he used to be, but every attempt to reclaim himself risks Meghan's disapproval. She's created an emotional paradox, convincing him that freedom means obedience and love means surrender. That mental tug-of-war keeps him trapped, torn between who he was and who she's told him to be. When he appears in public, that conflict bleeds through his expressions. His words defend her, but his eyes tell a different story, the story of someone caught in emotional captivity. Meghan thrives on that dependence. It keeps her in control. The more uncertain Harry becomes, the stronger her grip grows. The saddest truth is that he still believes he's choosing this life. In reality, Meghan has made sure every path back to himself feels like betrayal. And that's how she keeps him exactly where she wants him, torn, tamed, and trapped. I'm sure when Harry first met Meghan, the first thing he thought was, what an incredibly sexy, attractive woman. So, when I got to meet him, I was terrified for her being driven away by the media. The same media that had driven so many other people away from me. In the end, what we're witnessing isn't just the fall of a prince. It's the slow unraveling of a man who once had the world at his feet. Prince Harry's journey from freedom to fragility reads like a warning for anyone who's ever mistaken control for devotion. Meghan didn't simply enter his life. She reconstructed it brick by brick until the walls became invisible and the cage felt like comfort. What began as love turned into loyalty born of fear, dependence disguised as partnership. The cheerful, confident royal has been replaced by a man who smiles for cameras while silently fighting for air. Yet somewhere deep inside, the real Harry still exists. The soldier, the brother, the dreamer. Whether he'll ever find his way back depends on whether he recognizes the pattern surrounding him. Because true love doesn't isolate, silence, or reshape you. It frees you, and until he sees that, the world will keep watching the tragedy of a prince lost in someone else's story. If you want to uncover how this story truly began, don't miss our previous deep dive about how Prince Harry stunned after uncovering Meghan's Soho House past. It reveals the hidden beginnings of Meghan's influence long before the world noticed the shift. You're watching Star Spotlight, where truth meets the untold. Subscribe now and keep your eyes open, because in the world of fame and power, every smile hides a